Welcome back to A Numbers Game with Ryan Grodowski. Thank you guys for being here. This is going to be a fun episode. I have some very special guests, my Gen Z employees, who, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to come on the show because over the last year working with them, I have realized that I am getting old and that they do not understand most things that I am talking about when I bring up a reference to culture or music or movies. And I want to see how much they actually know. I want to know if they know on earth what I'm talking about. So it's to my amusement, it's to your amusement, and they've all volunteered to do this. No one's being forced to. We're going to make a game out of it. It's going to be about Gen X and millennial culture. So it's going to be great. And if you like this episode, please think about liking and subscribing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get this podcast. Before I get to that, I do want to break down some important data that came out. The CDC has finally released, because of the government shutdown, finally released birth data into our country for the last 2 months. And we have more evidence that Trump's mass deportations are working. In September and October 2025, there were 16,000 fewer births by women, foreign-born women who were born outside the United States, than there were in the previous September and October of 2024. The percentage of babies born to foreign women has decreased from 25% in January of this year to 23% in October. That may not seem like a major change, but it's a big, it's the complete opposite trajectory of where things were going. Interestingly, it's decreased in 41 states, the overall birth rate of foreign-born women. And the few states that it has increased in is because the population of foreign-born women is so small that one or two extra children here or there produces big, turnaround percentage-wise. But for 41 out of 50 states, there's this broad movement of foreign-born women having less children. It's one more data set showing that the population of foreign-born people, especially illegal immigrants, has declined. There's an overall decline because of this massive emphasis on self-deportation, right? President Trump hasn't deported, 10 million people, but millions have left. And what I said on this podcast months ago, and what I've said on my Substack, is that you would see this as evidence in the data as time went on. Like if you're an illegal immigrant and you're 8 months pregnant over in March or April, you're not going to self-deport. You're going to hang around to have your baby, get American citizenship, and then when they're 18, they could sponsor you. It makes complete sense. But if you weren't pregnant then, or if you were only 1 month or whatever the case is, you may just go on your own and say, this is not worth it. And so they're self-deporting. And there's been a few things. There's the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's the census, but this is just one more data set showing it is true. Mass deportation is working. The illegal alien and foreign-born population is decreasing by about 2 million people is what we're guessing. So be it the net negative population growth for the first time. It's also evidence why you're seeing rents in some of these places decline over the last 4 months. This steep decline really, though, kicks in the last 3 months, right? In the last 3 months is where you're seeing this spike happen as mass deportations pick up. So the early estimates is that there's about 603,000 births from September and October 2025. That's a 3% reduction over last year. Not immense, but it's not evenly distributed. Among non-Hispanic whites, it's down 1.1%. Among American Indians, it's down 4.7%. Among Latinos, big illegal alien population, it's down 5.3%. Black Americans are down 5.4%. Asians, also a big foreign-born population, are down 6%. The only group that is increasing in fertility and births are multiracial. They're up by 3.9%. Now, even though births are down slightly, the percentages are increasing for certain groups, especially whites, because they decline the least of all other major groups. The Black birth rate, which is heavily American born, they've been plunging like it should be studied by sociologists. They're very well likely going to be under 12% of the overall births next year, which is pretty shocking given how steady they were for so long in the birth data, going back to the 90s. And that's because of many different things. A lot of conservatives will say it's because of abortion, and abortion plays, a part of it. So does contraception. But there's also higher levels of college education among Black women. College education is one of the major determining factors of whether or not you're going to have children later on in life versus earlier. And there's mass decline in teen pregnancy. When I was a kid, teen pregnancy was very common. Teen pregnancy is almost completely it doesn't happen almost at all anymore, especially among Latino and Black women. That group has fallen substantially. as has fertility across the board. And of course, there is the question of affordability, and people are putting off having a child because it's unaffordable right now. All those things are playing into the factors, especially among Black women, and how few children that they are having. It's a strange phenomenon that is happening to such a degree now, because it was huge in the last 2 years and it's continuing at pace in this year. I'm going to do a true nerd fest on the birth data from my Substack. If you guys want to check it out at the National Populist Newsletter on Substack, it'll be very interesting. I might do a whole episode gearing into the end of the year. I'm going to have a religion episode as we get closer to Christmas time with my priest father, Nick, who's agreed to come on the show. And we have a few other fun episodes, but this is, I think, a data set getting into really where things are moving culturally. There's a lot of things that play when people decide to have a child. Affordability is one of them. Culture is one of them. How desirable it is to have kids as a, preference. Religion's another one. So there's a lot to kind of decipher from this information. I can't wait to sit there and really break it down for you guys. That'll be on my Substack, and I'll probably cover it for the podcast. Okay, enough of this data. I want to get to the fun stuff. I want to quiz my employees on what they know about millennial and Gen X culture, my Gen Z employees. So stay tuned. That's coming up next. So this is a very exciting episode of my podcast. We have on my team, my Gen Z team, to talk about different things that happened when I was a kid for millennials and Gen Xers. Because a lot of times I've noticed over the last year that I've been working with these guys that they don't know what I'm talking about. And I thought this would be fun. So we have on my show today, we have on my employees, Will, Wiley, Alex, and Colton. Thank you all for being here. By the way, they were not forced to be here. They all volunteered to be here. So the way it's going to work is this. We're going to break down to 3 different categories, 16 questions. You guys get a point if you get it correctly, the question correctly. You lose one if you get it incorrectly. The winner at the end gets a prize. So the first category will be music. So I know you guys are all excited about it. All these songs I picked, by the way, were #1 hits. They were not, I didn't pick number 7 on a random CD. These were all, everyone of my generation and a little older knew all of these songs. So, all right, Mr. Producer, go to slot 1 of song 1.
Children behave, that's what they say when we're together, and watch how you play. They don't understand, and so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand.
Anyone who knows the answer?
Not a clue.
Not a
I got nothing.
Alex, you listen to music.
Yeah, that's Kate Bush.
Kate Bush. No, it is not Kate Bush. Colton, anything that you could guess?
I got nothing.
Okay, that is Tiffany. The song is called I Think We're Alone Now. It was before there was Britney Spears, before there was Sabrina Carpenter, there was Tiffany. Biggest solo teen pop girl of the 80s. All right. Getting off to a great start. But Alex, thank you for giving it a shot. Second song, go to it.
The vibrations good like sun kissed. Many want to know who done this. Mark, and I'm here to move you. Rhymes will prove you, and I'm here to prove to you that we can party on the positive side of both positive vibes. Come along for the ride. Thinking you feel the rhythm is my occupation. So feel the vibration. Come on. Feel it.
Okay. Song.
Vibration, Marky Mark.
There you
Mark
go,
Wahlberg.
Wiley.
The Funky
How do
Bunch.
you even know who that is? Oh, well, Marky Mark is Mark Wahlberg. I was like, okay, this is a famous person. You guys were definitely going to know at least who the actor is. But before he was an actor, he was a singer. I'm actually so happy that you know one thing.
Yeah, I've been to his burger joint.
Is that how you know who he is?
No.
Oh. Yeah, he was a rapper, and his brother was on New Kids on the Block. I was going to pick New Kids on the Block, but literally the song is the only line in the entire show. And the entire song is just the lyrics, is the name of it. So I was like, this is going to be too easy. Okay, we're done with the 80s. That was Good Vibration. Oh, sorry, 1991. That was early 90s. All right, third song, go to it. Okay. Huge band. Mid 90s, two super big albums that they came out with, banger after banger.
I've heard that before, but I
You've heard that before. Where have you heard that, Will?
in like restaurants.
Mm-hmm. So your parents just didn't tell you and they failed you. Okay. What? Anybody else want to take a stab at it? Colton,
Is
you
it
got
like Aha?
It is not Aha. No, Aha was from the 80s and they were a one-hit wonder. This band had a bunch of other hits. Alex, anything?
Is it from Ace of Base?
Yes, that is
Okay.
true. That is Ace of Base. I saw the sign. All right, Alex. Look at you. Alex likes music, so I figured, okay, this is going to be an Alex Summit moment right now. So, all right. 3 more. Here we go. This was one of my favorite songs when I was a kid. It was a one-hit wonder, but it was like a chart topper, and it's a banger. So, okay, next one, slot 4.
Have a history of taking off my shirt. It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
All right, give it a shot. Yeah, Alex.
Is that 1 week?
Yeah, do you know the artist?
Something ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies. Wow, Alex, there you go. Very exciting. All right, very cool. All right. We got Alex is on a roll right now. Okay. All right, 2 more. We're getting later into the so this is like the 2000s now. So you guys were all alive at this point, which is I guess a must for anyone to know music. Okay. I'm sure everyone's going to know the next one, but go ahead. Let me know if you know
Remember you told me that it made you believe in no man who cry. Maybe that's why every little thing I do never seems enough for you.
Go.
Street Boys, bye, bye, bye.
That is not bye, bye, bye. Literally, the words were not bye, bye, bye. Like, you just heard them, and the only lyrics of bye, bye, bye are those words. I mean, how did you... Oh, my God, Wiley. Like, what are you talking about? No, it was not... The name of the band is in the video, but that was immense confidence. I appreciate that. Anybody else?
That's Justin Timberlake, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I was
What
going to
was-
say he looks way different now.
No,
Yes,
it's
that's
insane.
age. Okay,
It's
but you already got your,
insane.
you already got your
Insane.
answer. What's the
That's
name of the
right.
song? Do you anyone know this song? It was
Is it Girlfriend?
It is not Girlfriend. That was by Justin Bieber, an entirely different person.
I can
No,
swear it's like Justin Timberlake.
no,
They're
it's not
close
by
enough,
Justin.
right?
No, it's not. Okay, so it's gonna be me. But all right, we're on
Ah,
a
I was close.
we're on a, no, you weren't. Okay. Last song, last part of the music thing. This was in the mid 2000s. Another one hit wonder, but definitely when like emo-ish rock music was a big thing in the 2000s. This is what I listened to. Not this song, but I listened to emo throughout my entire teen years. I had a lot of guy liner going on. This was the biggest song of that genre. So last one, go ahead.
Oh, so what you do to me? Oh, so what you do
Okay, Alex has got it. So Alex, what is it?
1,000 miles.
Wait. We got the song. Go ahead. What's that? What is it, Alex?
Hater Delilah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so Alex knew. Yeah, that was the biggest one. I loved emo music, but there's most that didn't ever chart, didn't go anywhere, so I couldn't bring up like Motion City soundtrack or something. You guys would have never heard of it. So okay, leaving the first round. Wiley's at -1. Alex is at
-1.
-1, and Alex is at -1 as well. So and Will and Colton are tied for 0. So hopefully they bring up something on the board whatsoever. Okay. So these are some big movies, and I lump movies and TV shows in together, right? I'm going to describe it. I'll tell you some either director or actor who was in it. Tell me if you can name it, and then let me know if you've ever seen it. So the first one is there's a huge movie, 1985, by John Hughes. 5 teenagers are stuck in detention. It is a classic staples of Gen X 80s movies. 5 teenage. Okay. Well, we'll go. Alex, you go first because you raised your hand first.
The Breakfast Club.
There you go. Okay, that was. Did you know that, Will?
Yeah.
You did.
So-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at least you know. Colton, did you ever see any movies?
Yeah, I've seen Breakfast Club before. I couldn't think of the name. I was thinking Detention or something, but it was something. It was Breakfast
Okay.
Club.
All right. So this is all right. Classic staple 80s movie. I think everyone has probably seen it at this point. It plays on like TBS a lot or something like that. All right. Next question. This was a 1995 movie. It was a retelling of Jane Austen's book Emma. It starred Alicia Silverstone, who tries to set up two teachers who are falling in love while she's falling in love with her stepbrother. Classic 90s movie. Alicia
Can we get a
Silverstone.
cast hint?
What?
Can we get more cast hints?
Alicia Silverstone. She's the main part in it.
Okay.
I don't know. Brittany Murphy is also in it, but she's passed away since then. Anyone? Take a guess. Take a stab at high school, 90s. You know, As If was like a huge line in the movie that became something. Rolling with the Homies, anything.
Oh, I've heard people say "as if" before.
No, that's just in general conversation. You probably heard
Yeah.
that. But like, have you like it's
Pretty in Pink.
no, it's
No.
not bringing the pink. But I thank you for trying. Anyone else, Colton? Anything?
Got
Nothing. Okay, it's called Clueless.
Oh,
Have you ever heard that movie?
yes.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
That's more of a
Probably
chick
not.
flick.
That's it. I know it's but it's a 90s like never mind. Okay. All right, this is a TV show from the 90s. I hope it's done better. It was a huge classic that millennials and Gen Xers watched, right? It was about main character was a guy named Corey, his best friend Shong, and his girlfriend Topanga as they went through high school and college and marriage together. This was on for 7 seasons. Huge growing up show.
Freaks and Geeks.
No. Okay. But Freaks and Geeks, I'm actually even shocked you know the name of, so that's a big deal. Colton, anything. It was must see. No, nothing. Will.
3 high schoolers? No, every time you say high school, I'm going to guess Breakfast Club.
Okay, but that's not the answer all the time. Alex?
Is it Boy Meets World?
It is Boy Meets World, Alex.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. You never heard of Boy Meets World? They had a sequel called Girl Meets World about his daughter. Yeah. Ben
That's why
Savage.
I was able to remember it.
Okay. All right. I figured, all right. There's another TV. This show was what I watched every day. Before he was a superstar on Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston played a dysfunctional suburban dad named Hal, who tried to make ends meet with his working class wife Lois and their 4 kids, Francis, Reese, Malcolm, and Dewey. Okay, Wiley, go ahead. Oh, actually, you know
Malcolm in the Middle.
Okay, I was going to give it to. Will. Did you guys know that show?
Yeah.
Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did you
Watched
know that,
all of it.
Will?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, wow. All right, good. I grew up watching that. All right, last movie, last one from this category. It's a millennial teen movie. It's a coming-of-age masterpiece where a character named Fogel gets a fake ID called the name McLovin. Okay, Will, go ahead.
Super bad?
There you go. I'm going to give Will one. Can I get faster with the questions? Colton, did you see that movie?
No, I've never seen McLovin, or never seen it. No.
Okay, it's a good one. It's got a lot of like Emma Stone's first movie. It's a cool mid 2000s, definitely millennial movie. All right, I'm gonna do 5 questions on world events. This is things that definitely steeped in Gen X and millennial culture that we all remember, like where we were, what happened. All right, this is the first one, and I wasn't even alive for this, but I even know about it because it was so famous. In 1986, a little girl, an 18-month-old girl, fell down a well, and for 58 hours, the entire media covered her rescue. What was that baby girl's name? Yes, it was literally one of the first news stories that was ever breaking news where it was covered minute by minute. Before there was like CNN and everyone covered everything minute by minute. This was like the breaking news. Are they going to get this little girl out of the well? This huge America story. It was in Texas. Not that any of you guys are in Texas, but no, nothing. You ever heard of Baby Jessica? No. Guys, it was huge. I can't emphasize this, but like it was a big deal. All right. In 1998, when the world was shocked when this Spice Girl announced that she was going to leave the band after just 2 albums and a tour and a movie. Who was the Spice Girl that broke up the band and it made? Go ahead, Will.
It's not Ice Spice, is it?
Ice Spice is not a person. if that is a person, it is not a person in a band, Will. I don't know who Ice Spice even is. Is that a rapper?
They're a contemporary artist, yeah.
And you think that they were around in the 90s in the Spice Girls? Okay. No,
Never
it
know.
wasn't. Cole, Alex, go ahead.
Was it Ginger?
It was Ginger Spice. Alex is like the one who's sitting there and throwing stuff. Colton, did you ever hear of the Spice Girls?
I've heard of them, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, she was the one that broke up the band. All right. In 1997 and 2000, Camel and Marlboro cigarettes retired their classic brand ambassadors. Can you name either one of them? Go ahead, Will.
Was one of them the Marlboro Man, the cowboy?
Yes, Marlboro Man and Joe Camel. Those were like the two. We used to be able to advertise on cigarettes back in the day, like not on television because that was even before me, but like on billboards you could advertise. And Joe Camel and Marlboro Man were like the image of like the cowboy and like cool Joe Camel if you smoked cigarettes, which, you know, we all know you were cool for smoking cigarettes. All right. Last two. Before there was Facebook, there was MySpace. And when you made a MySpace account, the creator was your first friend. Who was the creator of MySpace? What was his first name? He was, go ahead, Will.
Was
Did
it
you not?
Joe?
It is not Joe. Colton, I feel like this is the one that you're going to get. No? Alex?
There was a Tom.
Yes, it was Tom.
Okay.
Yes, Tom was your first friend on Facebook. On MySpace when you added friends, and there was a top 8, and people would fight over who was in whose top 8 friend list. It was anarchy. All right, this is. I've like given up on everybody. This is the last question, and this is like still like prominent to today. In 1999, June 1999, the world changed when a 19 and 20-year-old launched a peer-to-peer sharing website with the logo of a cat with headphones. It became the first website that millennials could illegally download music and share it. It all became the game the idea of streaming. Go ahead, Will.
Was it Napster?
It was Napster. All right. I'm shocked by like Colton. What were you doing in the 90s? I guess you were barely alive in the 90s. I don't know. Colton, you had 0. Wiley, you had -1. Will, you had 0. Alex, this is like the only hope for somebody to actually have. Alex, you had 2. Guys, 2 out of 16. Okay, Alex is the winner. I appreciate you all for doing this. It was worse than I thought it was. I'm not gonna lie. It was worse than I thought it was. I'm not gonna lie about it, but I am happy and glad you at least tried. I'm gonna start instituting a movie and music song of the month for any one of my employees, so anyone knows what I'm talking about. But I appreciate you guys endlessly for doing this. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
Thank
Ryan.
you, Ryan.
Bye.
Congrats to Alex.
Now it's time for the Ask Me Anything segment of this podcast. If you want to be part of the Ask Me Anything segment, email me Ryan at numbersgamepodcast.com. That's Ryan at numberspluralgamepodcast.com. Then I get to only one today. I'm very backed up. I know it. So if you've emailed me, I will get to your question on this podcast before the end of the year. Stay tuned. Please stay, keep listening. I know I have probably 10 or 11 that I still need to get to for the end of the year, and they will all be answered. This one comes from Tom. Tom says, I'm a longtime listener, but first-time caller from Australia. Thank you, Tom, for listening to this podcast all the way from Australia. That's wonderful. Thank you. Keep up the great work. I've been excited to listen to your podcast. For most Australian coverage of American politics is just a slop ripped straight from New York Times, MSNBC, and CNN. Isn't that the truth? I actually know a bit about Australian politics. I covered it in my book that I wrote a couple of years ago, and I followed. Australia had an election where the left won a big, big victory, but also the right was very splintered, and their leadership wasn't that solid. Okay, he says, apologies in advance, as I'm sure you're bombarded with questions in this nature that will be over-litigated over the coming years. My question relates to the 2020 presidential election. Obviously, usual caveats apply. It's still 3 years away, and a lot can happen between now and then. With that in mind, I was wondering, from an electoral strategy standpoint in 2020, where do you see as the greatest opportunity and threats for the Republican nominee, J.D. Vance, or whoever it is, and vice versa for the Democrats? Keep up the great work, Tom. Okay, 2020 is a very important presidential election, not for only deciding who the president's going to be, but because it will be the last presidential election where the Rust Belt will seriously matter. Not that it won't matter at all, but for the last few decades, you needed to win several Rust Belt states in order to sit there and get the presidency, or win a state like Virginia, like George W. Bush did. That's not going to be the case come 2032 because of how people are moving. States like Florida and Texas are going to gain at least 8 or more electoral college votes, while California, New York, Illinois will lose. There will be enough electoral college votes in the states of North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and Nevada combined to offset all the other states where they will be only swing states that matter come 2032 and afterwards. So as long as all those states stay red, a Republican candidate would only need to win the solidly red state of Ohio, and this is extremely likely right now for president. They won't have to win Wisconsin. They won't have to win Pennsylvania or Michigan, the long shot states of New Hampshire, Minnesota, or wherever. It will just be Sunbelt, which will change also the politics of things like tariffs and things like manufacturing, states that are very heavily dependent on it historically versus ones that are not heavily dependent on it. So 2028 will matter for that reason. For Republicans, I mean, obviously, they're going to start working with the Trump coalition. They're going to start working with what states Trump won to see if they can keep any on the board. With inflation and with the housing issue and with just the cost of living, states like Nevada, states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin will all be on the ballot. Also, the demographic changes in Georgia will play a very big hand. Georgia's population, Black population, has grown substantially. And that, especially in the Atlanta suburbs, and that will alter how competitive it stays. It's very clearly trending to the left. How long does it trend to the left? How much of the rural Black vote, which has been trending to the right, it's one of the few parts of Georgia that's been trending to the right, the Black belt of Georgia, can they move that over more? Can they have turnout increases more? Southern Georgia has a lot more vote potential than Northern Georgia does. Like the Marjorie Taylor Greene district, there's not, I mean, Republicans can do maybe a little better, maybe a hair better, but they basically maxed out of that area. Southern Georgia is where they have to sit there and grab the votes from to offset Atlanta. So that will be a problem. North Carolina is changing dramatically as people move there in big, big waves. North Carolina, I think, the electorate is like 5 or 6% Hispanic now, which is interesting. The Research Triangle has brought a lot of college-educated people there. Appalachia State has changed the western part of that state. So North Carolina will continue to be competitive going forward. It will definitely be a state to pay attention to, especially since they have a Democratic governor, a lot of Democrats in statewide office positions that will try to move and influence the state. And then there's the 3 big Rust Belt states, which is Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Trump won Wisconsin by less than 1 point, and he won the other 2 by less than 2 points. The Muslim vote in Michigan will play an immensely important role in this election, as will be the suburban vote. Suburban women have historically not liked Donald Trump that much. A lot of historically moderate places like Western Michigan, big Dutch country, have not liked Trump that much. Can JD reverse some of those trends a little bit, like in the Dutch area of Western Michigan? Can he hold on to Bucks County, which is a critical swing county, while bringing out people like in Erie, Pennsylvania, or in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, in the working class parts of the state, working class white parts of the state? One interesting about Pennsylvania that will be different is that Pennsylvania instituted a mandatory voter registration when you renew your license. So in 2016, when Trump ran, there were millions, and I'm talking millions, of non-college educated whites who were not registered to vote in Pennsylvania. That is starting to pick up substantially as they're registering to vote. They're kind of forced to register to vote. So there'll be a lot more there for Trump, for JD or for Rubio, for whoever, to really pick off of like the base of the Republican Party. As for Democrats, look, Democrats' essential problem is that they've had an issue turning out Black voters the way that Obama did, for obvious reasons, right? He was the first Black president. But even at bringing them out at Joe Biden levels was proven difficult for both Hillary and Kamala. Having to re-engage Black voters will be a critical part of whomever the Democratic nominee's strategy is, as well as the question of if the Democrats pick a far left candidate. Many believe that they'll just gin up the base and that will be enough to sit there and bring out anybody. But for as many times as that's been successful, it's been as unsuccessful in dozens of other cases. And these very typically swing but conservative areas will be a question. You know, Barack Obama was a very important figure in our history because the first Black president, but there were a lot of demographics waiting for that to happen. I don't think that those demographics are necessarily waiting for the first gay president or for the first Latina president or for the first, a lot of other people and groups, interest groups. I would probably be willing to bet that the Democrats will not have a woman as their nominee in 2028. I'm just guessing. I don't obviously know ahead of time. I think the one big question for Democrats for their vulnerabilities going forward is, where do Democrats start their election? I've talked about this over and over and over again. If Democrats start the election process, the primary process in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, any of those places, the opening will be there for a Bernie Sanders and AOC, a very, very far left socialist, to win the nomination, because those are states that the Democratic voters in those states are more willing to move to the far left. If it starts in South Carolina, if it starts in Georgia, if they start in the Deep South, those black majority voting states in the Democratic primary, they vote for the more conservative candidate in almost every single case. That is the states that gave us Bill Clinton and gave us Joe Biden, and, have always kind of ticked to the center of the party. They don't like progressives. They're certainly not going to vote for Pete Buttigieg, who's polling at a 0% with black voters. I think all of that is interesting. I would like to sit there and see how that shakes out. Obviously, we have a long time. We don't know where the economy is going to be. We don't know if there's going to be an international incident. Hopefully there won't be. We don't know if there'll be, another COVID or whatever the case is. There's a lot we don't know. It's hard to sit there and play out, if there's going to be a surprise. We have no clue there will be a surprise. But that being said, I think that it's very likely that the traditional swing states will be most of the effort that everyone will spend their time on. And JD or Rubio, whoever it will be, will have to pick up one of the Rust Belt states. And that's why I think Trump was in Pennsylvania over the weekend, or over the week rather. And I expect that both Trump and every prospective Republican will spend a lot of time in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the titular swing state. So that's that. Hope you enjoy this podcast. Please like and subscribe in the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And please subscribe on YouTube. I'm trying to really grow that channel. And I appreciate you all so much. I hope you guys are enjoying your Christmas season. And I will be back on Monday. Thank you.